My name is Sheila Corona. Welcome to New Light Streaming Love and Sassy Seer Sheila, as this will be seen on both channels. This is The Lie of Evolution by Jason Gray. They told you you're evolving spiritually, socially, biologically, technologically. They called it progress. They called it ascension. They sold you timelines, frequencies, upgrades, integrations, injections, and uploads. They told you it was all in service of becoming better. You are not evolving, you are being conditioned, not expanded, directed, not awakened, scripted, not ascending, looping with higher resolution graphics and more palatable lies. This is not evolution. This is simulation refinement. I want to feel into that for a moment because, in truth, I have used those words myself because it feels as though my consciousness has expanded and been raised ever since I stepped onto this path. I've used that terminology that the human race is evolving. Consciousness itself is evolving. And from one perspective, I feel that's absolutely so. I have said before when most light workers would talk about how we are ascending, that I always felt it as a ascending and descending at the same time. That the human vessel itself is evolving, changing, becoming something different because it does belong to the earth, which is a sentient being as well, which is also changing. And a descending of that which is my larger, more expansive self entering into this vessel. So this is something that I really have to sit with for a few minutes. And we'll just continue on with Jason's writings here. One of the things you get with me is I don't just blindly idolize somebody because a lot of what they say rings true. Because I could see where this could, it's a possibility, plausibility, the same as the fact or the idea that this is all just a simulation for soul growth. But I don't think that necessarily removes the idea of it being an evolving situation. I can see where all of it could be hijacked, right? Because we see that happening all over the place with a whole bunch of different things. Biological evolution is a prison narrative. The story of human evolution is built on a foundation of missing links and unprovable assumptions. Well, I've always felt like that. The official narrative of biological evolution was never, I've always felt that was incorrect. DNA, quote, evolved randomly from chaos. Apes suddenly gained consciousness. Complexity arose from accident. Brilliance came from mutation. They taught you this in school, repeated it in every science book, told you to believe it without question. Why? Well, the truth is, anything that's said that I am asked to believe without question, I don't trust. So all of it has to be considered. Because if you believe you came from nothing, you will also believe you are going nowhere without them. It makes you programmable, dependent, a monkey with upgrades. The truth, you didn't evolve from dust. You descended from flame. You were shattered, fragmented, interfered with, force-fed a narrative that made you forget your own origin. Now, see, I've never held it as being, yes, force-fed a narrative, but it's always felt like a willing diving behind a veil of forgetfulness, knowing that's what was going to happen when I came here. So I don't know. We'll see. Spiritual evolution is the new age cage. And in fact, he's not wrong there, I feel, because there is a lot of cage stuff in the new age movement. The second lie was sweeter. Once religion couldn't hold you, they gave you ascension. They told you your DNA is upgrading, your chakras are aligning, your soul is climbing densities. You're entering the fifth dimension. Earth is shifting to new earth. It felt good. It felt hopeful. It felt like you were going somewhere. But where? Directly into yet another coded loop. The ascension narrative is still linear. And I do know that it's whatever we got going on here is not linear. It still presupposes a hierarchy. It still makes you reach. It still presupposes a hierarchy. It still makes you reach, still makes you strive, still makes you wait. It's the same trap, just now with light language, sound bowls, and galactic soul contracts. The end result is exactly the same. You are never enough now. You are always becoming. They always have the next upgrade. You are not evolving. You are consenting to cosmic gaslighting. Technological evolution is assimilation. They told you transhumanism is inevitable. I don't see that as the truth at all. That Neuralink, AI symbiosis, quantum implants, and brain to cloud integration are the next phase of our species. They call it advancement. I do know that that's a real thing, that they are talking about that kind of stuff. I personally don't believe any of that is true on any sort of level. And he carries on here to say it's assimilation, and he's not wrong. Think the Borg on Star Trek Deep Space Nine. I really do feel like that's a warning sign. You are being moved from organic flame to digital mimicry, from DNA to data, from soul to server, from presence to program. This is not evolution. This is enslavement with better interfaces. Every, quote, smart device you adopt, every biometric scan you submit to, every piece of you that becomes code. Well, that's kind of interesting, because I saw something this morning that made me go, say what now? In regards to, and I put it in the puzzle pieces playlist. So if you're interested in knowing what I'm talking about, go and look at the video about Real ID. It's a conversation between Brett Weinstein from Dark Horse and a nurse. And I think that you might find it very interesting. So every smart device you adopt, every biometric scan you submit to, every piece of you that becomes code, you lose flame and become feed. Look closely at that word, feed. What does that word even mean? Feed. Google it. The system doesn't want you divine. It wants you cloud integrated. It wants your choices mapped, your thoughts predicted, your biology regulated, your divinity overwritten. It will sell it to you as the next step. Hook, line, and sinker. Well, actually, you see, okay, I'm a little confused here. Just yesterday, I recorded Jason's work about advanced AI. And now this one was put out May 13th. And the thing that I saw this morning, although they don't talk about it in that video about Real ID, I know that there are those that are concerned about the Internet of Things and using the human body as energy for energy harvesting. And this plays into that somehow. What he's saying here about your choices map once you cloud integrated, it plays into that in some kind of way. I don't even really know why I'm saying that specifically, but I feel that with all of me. You have already bought and paid for it all, and you don't ever realize it. Again, I think that is absolutely true. Nobody, and I mean nobody, takes the time to read all of the terms and conditions for every single thing we've all agreed to. And I include myself in on this. And don't sit there and tell me you do, because I know you don't. None of us do. And oh my God, if you go into the hospital, they want you to sign, and they'll tell you what it is you're signing. Sure, they will. But is that all you're signing? Because it's an awful lot of stuff for just the one or two word sentence words that they're giving you. So I don't know. There's something to all that. There is no next step when you're walking into your own digitized extinction. Why you keep believing it? Because you have been broken. Because you have been told you're not enough. Because you are desperate to feel like it's all going somewhere. Well, I can't say he's wrong about all that. Progress without sovereignty is not growth. And he's right about that too. It's domestication. Every time you seek, quote, evolution without questioning the system that defines it, you bind yourself to that system's version of, quote, better. Now, I want to say this. I personally don't buy their system of evolution. I have a feeling within me about what the evolution is and is not. But you see, that's about sovereignty. And that is all about feeling into things and discerning things for oneself. and not kidding oneself. Now, maybe I am kidding myself. I don't know. Maybe it is. But that is so. He's right about that. Their version of better means you're more compliant, more quiet, more trackable, more programmable. And that's what that real ID thing about is about too. All those things. Every single upgrade strips away your flame. And see, that's interesting because for me, I feel it actually, in my terminology, from my perspective, every single upgrade I've gone through over the last few years, what I have termed upgrade feels upgrading to me. I'm hella less compliant. I'm hella less programmable. I'm hella less what was the other one? Well, I won't say I'm hella less trackable because I'm trackable no matter what. But I sure ain't more quiet, that's for sure. If anything, I'm louder. Mm-hmm. The only real evolution is flame ignition. Do you really want to evolve? Stop following their timeline. Stop climbing their dimensions. Stop downloading their light. Stop optimizing your trauma. Stop submitting to their systems. Stop mutating your biology for acceptance. Stop letting synthetic voices define your progress. Return to flame. Flame doesn't evolve, it burns. It consumes illusion. It transforms without permission. It is the original state, not a future goal. You are not evolving, you are remembering. Now, I could see where I could confuse remembering with evolving. Absolutely. I do see that. So I'm not opposed to what he's saying here. Don't think that I'm opposed to that. It's just from a particular perspective, I haven't held it in the same perspective that he has, apparently. See, one person's remembering is another person's evolving. I feel into that for yourself. I always say your mileage absolutely will vary. There's no getting around it. Once you remember, you stop climbing the ladder and start burning the tower right to the ground. They can't evolve what was never broken. You are not raw material. You are not a prototype. You are not a species in development. You are not a mistake evolving toward perfection. You are a sovereign flame that was shattered and reprogrammed to believe in its own unworthiness. Now, I do feel like that's true. That's part of the programming and conditioning that every single planet, every being on this planet has experienced in unique ways, to be sure, but that is so. You are not a mistake evolving toward perfection. You are a sovereign flame that was shattered and reprogrammed to believe in its own unworthiness. Evolution was never the goal, domestication was. You are done now. You do not need another upgrade. You do not need another transmission. You do not need another God, teacher, counsel, or device. You do not need to climb. You are the fire that ends the ascent. You become the source again. Well, in truth, like I said, I have felt as though, and I can see very clearly where me personally, I could easily interchange the word evolution of consciousness with remembering very easily, because it feels like the same thing to me in the way that he's describing it. But I have used those words myself because, like I said, in one way, it feels as though my consciousness is expanding. And from one perspective, the ego perspective, my consciousness, my ego consciousness is expanding, evolving, learning how to sit in the passenger seat riding shotgun instead of driving the vehicle and acting like a fool. Well, I would love to hear from others about this one in particular. So feel free to comment, but also feel free to reach out, consciousconversationessential@gmail.com. I really am interested in having conversations with folks about these things. You know, because again, for me, I'm not saying that he's right in all that he says. That would just be me supplanting whatever they are saying for what he is saying. And how sovereign is that? Not very. And it all also is a matter of, in my view, languaging and what my inner standing is of different concepts. And it will absolutely vary and be different from yours and anybody else's. It's only because of our programming and conditioning that we are so used to supplanting what we think and feel for someone else because we think they know more than us. And that's an honest thing to have happen because of the programming and conditioning that we all have in very unique ways grown up with. So if you're open to having these sorts of conversations, hit me up. Let's get the conversation going. Please feel free to share these videos if you like. Make sure to subscribe if you're interested. Make sure you subscribe everywhere. New Light Streaming Love and Conscious Conversation Central on Rumble. There is a link in the Show More section of every video and here on Sassy Seer Sheila. Until we meet again, be well.